Truffle this week. Today we have Metamask. Anthony and Tom will be telling you about a couple of different things. This will be a two-parter. So we thank them very much for joining. Tomorrow we will have web monetization at Coil. Uchi will join us once again to dive a bit deeper into how you can monetize your website. We're learning a bunch. We are nearing the halfway point of this event. We have over 400 people registered for the hackathon so far. Thank you everybody for joining. Come and join us in Discord. Ask your questions. We're here to help. And now, without further ado, hand it off to our guests today. Thank you so much for teaching us how to build things with MetaMask. Looking forward to it. Enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dietrich. Thank you so much, Protocol Labs, for having this. Hopefully everyone can see my screen right now. My name is Tom Hay. I am the head of developer relations for Consensus. I'm joined by my colleague, Anthony Albatorio, who is a community builder who's focused on decentralized finance, as well as an instructor with Consensus Academy. And also, he runs one of the largest Ethereum meetups. So if you are based in New York City, or you are in the on the internet, which I assume all of you are, you can see him doing awesome sessions like this 6 days a week. So today we're going to talk about two things. In the kickoff, we talked about let's use the MetaMask Filecoin developer preview. And the reason we talked about that is because we were giving away a prize as part of Browsers 3000 hackathon, which is registrations to the Consensus Academy Developer Program Bootcamp, which starts on September 1st. And it's for best use of MetaMask. And we want to equip you with the skills that you need, so that way you can have that best use of MetaMask. So we're going to quickly go over in the first 15 minutes, so the next like 10 minutes or so, just about like how to set up the MetaMask Filecoin developer preview, some information about MetaMask in general. And then Anthony will take over and talk about how to actually build a application that MetaMask can interact with, and how to do that with a template that is called a Truffle box. So we will get started. So first, let's talk what is MetaMask. It's the leading crypto wallet and gateway to Ethereum-based applications. It works with Ethereum. It also works with L2s and EVM-enabled networks. It allows you to self-custody and manage your digital assets. So you have a key vault, a secure login, a token wallet, and also has a built-in swaps functionality, a token exchange. It is self-custodial, so it's very key to remember that you need to protect your secret recovery phrase at all costs. That is the way that you are able to unlock and recover the wallet. If someone else has that, they can control your wallet. So never give that phrase out. Keep it protected at all costs. MetaMask is available on desktop in Chrome and with generally Chromium-based browsers, but Chrome, Firefox, and Brave, and it's on mobile on iOS and Android. So what is MetaMask Snaps? It's a plugin system for MetaMask to actually extend the functionality of MetaMask. So a plugin is a script that is going to be loaded over a permissionless protocol, for example, IPFS or ENS or Swarm. It is going to be able to take advantage of the wallet APIs from MetaMask and extend what MetaMask users can do and what they can interact with. So we're taking it beyond the built-in functionality of swapping, storing, sending, and signing, and adding functionality to MetaMask. Why? Well, this allows us to have a permissionless extension. We don't want to be the bottleneck to your innovation. It also allows for certain specific authority to be granted to MetaMask via really granular APIs. So an example of this is a file sharing plugin could be added, and it doesn't need to know what page you're on, just what hash you want to load or set. It also allows you to add more security. So the scripts that you build, they're going to have 0 privileges by default, but can request certain permissions from the wallet, from MetaMask via the wallet API. Here we see one of the co-founders of MetaMask, Dan Finlay, talking about the evolution of Web3 wallets. All right, so this is a Protocol Labs run hackathon, so it's always great to just call back to some of the Protocol Labs projects that we know and love: libp2p, IPFS, and Filecoin. And what we're going to talk about specifically is how to enable a developer preview of MetaMask so that you can take advantage of Filecoin, this open source cloud storage marketplace protocol and cryptocurrency, to potentially integrate MetaMask into an application that utilizes this system of persistent data storage. So what we're sort of where our minds go is that economic incentives lead to assets and a need to manage them, and so MetaMask allows you to be able to essentially hold certain assets and use them to potentially enable that sort of obtaining or accessing persistent storage in certain ways, in novel ways that you could continue to build out that in applications. So using MetaMask, using Filecoin together, and building new applications that have some unique functionality. So what we are going to do is teach you how to download the developer version of like a developer version of MetaMask and a preview that then you can use to that already has the Filecoin snap as part of it. So it's essentially it's in beta. So just from the outset, if there's bugs, please flag those. But this snap is going to manage Filecoin keys derived from the secret recovery phrase, also sometimes called the seed phrase, that is in MetaMask. It doesn't see the seed phrase or any of the keys except for those that are used for Filecoin, and it doesn't at this point in time represent Filecoin transactions or assets in the MetaMask UI. So you will need to build that into the dApp to display those for the user right now. And Anthony will talk more about how to build that dApp in the next section. So we recommend you do not use your existing MetaMask wallet to do this, that you're downloading this developer preview, and you're going to actually want to create a new browser profile. So because we're installing a beta version of the extension, we want to use a Chromium-based browser. Chrome, Brave works. It's going to kind of look the same, but you're seeing in this image right here how we set up a new profile, and you're going to create a new profile by clicking that add button and adding another profile. Then you're going to use this link right here, which I will copy that link address and I will drop it right now into the chat. And that link address will actually give you the Filecoin developer beta. You want to download it and use the build for your browser. If your browser isn't listed, use the Chrome build. Here you're seeing we're going through that flow, we're downloading, and we're getting that. All right, so now you go to the to the following URL. This will work on all Chromium browsers, but if you switched out, like instead of Chrome, it was Brave, this would work. You're going to pull up the extensions and you're going to ensure that developer mode is turned on. So you got to go to the upper right corner, turn on developer mode. See that one more time, extensions, we turn on developer mode. Then we're going to locate and unzip that package that we just downloaded from the link that I shared, the GitHub. Check your downloads folder, make sure you have that, show it in Finder, and go ahead, unzip that package. Once you enter developer mode and you've unzipped that, hit that load unpacked button, and we'll load the downloaded browser extension into your browser. So you'll see it show up. And then you should create a new secret recovery phrase. This should only be used for your development accounts, and you need to save it. Do not share it with anybody. Hold on to it. But now you have MetaMask set up for the developer preview. If you want to go ahead and test it, you can navigate to this site here, and I will also share that in the chat. And you can connect your MetaMask, and you can start to interact with a demo. And if you want to inspect that source code, you can do so at this link here. So you can start to understand what's going on as you think about, oh, what could I potentially build as my application? And here we can see we're actually like looking at some of the functions that are written up in here, and we're looking at some nice JavaScript right now. Okay, so some quick more resources if you want to go deeper. This is a helpful README, which we suggest you look at, and then you can talk to us, and we're in Browsers 3000. You can talk to us there. You can talk to us in also our Discord as well. But yes, please, Anthony and I are both in there. And then what I will say is that, remember, best use of MetaMask winners will receive a seat in the Blockchain Developer Bootcamp, which starts September 1st and teaches you how to write Solidity in order to develop smart contracts and build decentralized applications. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Anthony, who is actually going to talk to you more about, like, okay, great, I want to win this prize. How can I do this? How can I build this application that, Tom, you lack any sort of specificity on what this application is and does? So Anthony will take it over from me.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. I'm very excited to be with you guys. We're going to see the possibilities of not only decentralizing the back end, but decentralizing the assets in the front end. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, it's not completely decentralized if, let's say, you're buying an NFT and it's on a centralized server, right? Maybe the deal is decentralized, but the asset isn't. So with Filecoin and the underlying technologies, you can actually create markets around assets, specifically NFTs, but NFTs can be anything, right? There's a lot of startups exploring certain things that are really looking into, like, how can you take NFTs beyond art? But for this example, we're going to look at the Filecoin box that was made in conjunction with Truffle. So let's kind of look into it right now. Okay, excellent. So I'm going to do it I'm going to tempt the gods here, and we're going to do like a live coding session, right? To make it easy, we're just going to kind of go through this example here. I'll share the slide afterwards for you guys, but we're not going to go into presentation mode because I'm going to be in the terminal. So let's use the Filecoin Truffle box. First of all, let's kind of get into what is Truffle. Truffle is a world-class development environment and testing framework. And it's also for asset pipelines for blockchains. So blockchains are really cool because they solve this problem of the double spend problem. In a way, you can think of blockchains as the fundamental data structure for the internet of value. The same we have the internet of information, where now anywhere in the world, anybody can sort of access any type of information in their fingertips. We can now do that for value, right? So we can move value easily and quickly and much more fast than exists to traditional means using the blockchain. Truffle allows us to create basically programmable money, programmable assets. Assets like, let's say, smart contracts that represent fungible tokens, things that, things from out of MakerDAO, basically creating stable coins. We can use Filecoin to extend that logic to actual data packets, to actual data sets, to actual art. And as we've seen recently with, CryptoKitties and the NFT boom afterwards, Beeple's NFT boom, and even Ashton Kutcher's kind of foray into this that rose gas prices. There's still a lot of demand for NFTs, and we want to decentralize those assets as well. We can use Truffle as a way to kind of create the economic framework to create markets for these types of assets. So what are Truffle boxes? Well, before that, actually, Truffle is Truffle Suite. So anything, it really works with anything that's EVM compatible. Also Corda. So there's Truffle, the main sort of IDE to a certain extent. And then we have Ganache. We'll see Ganache. Ganache is basically our local blockchain. We have Drizzle to make front-end libraries easy, but we're going to focus on these two real quick, just to set it up. And the purpose of this presentation is just to set up the Filecoin box, kind of look at and explore how it works and understand certain concepts around Filecoin, which I find really exciting. So I'm honored to be here. What are Truffle boxes? They're extremely helpful boilerplates that help extend functionality. So the same way that the MetaMask Filecoin snap allowed us to easily extend functionality of MetaMask to Filecoin, we can do the same for Truffle, right? The idea is that we want to be modular in some ways. So these are the same as these boxes are the same as regular JavaScript modules that you would install through npm or Yarn, and they can include like Solidity contracts, or at least JS implementations, others that bind into the blockchain. They could be front-end views like Drizzle. They could be layer 2 solutions, and they could be like Filecoin, right? So there's an easy way to get up and started really quickly. The idea for Truffle is to go from idea to dApp even easier, and with Truffle boxes, you can do this even faster. Why? Permissionless extension. We don't want to be a bottleneck in innovation. It's modular, just like npm, and it fits into your same security and workflow. It saves time and it saves you headaches. It's just one less thing to worry about. So you can easily get up and started with Filecoin and layer 2 solutions and anything else pretty quickly. Again, let's get from idea to dApps as fast as possible. Now, a quick overview of what is libp2p and NPFS. You've seen this already, but give it a second context because it's really important to understand this part. libp2p is a routing library, right? So when people want to create peer-to-peer apps, sometimes people go to say, hey, let's build on the blockchain. But the blockchain is really good for the economic value, the transfer of value, right? There's a bottleneck because of the limited transactions. So you can use libp2p as a way to create pure peer-to-peer apps. I always compare it as the Node.js for P2P apps. It's one of the most underrated projects, I think, in the ecosystem, and I'm really excited that there's more kind of buzz around it now. IPFS, it builds on this, right? So libp2p is a bunch of modular sort of protocols that allow you to create P2P applications, and they're extensible too. So you can have a protocol that goes from, let's say, WebSockets to like Bluetooth to like radio broadcasting, and somebody creates, and they're modular, they can fit together. IPFS takes this and then makes it domain specific towards the distributed systems and peer-to-peer transfer of data, right? It builds on libp2p. But it's sort of like back in the day, the same problem that we had with like LimeWire and Kazaa, where you kind of like rely on the goodwill of individuals to hold an asset. You can't really run a marketplace that way, right? So there's this thing called Filecoin, which is an open source cloud storage marketplace protocol and cryptocurrency, right? So this FIL is the native currency of Filecoin, and it basically creates this incentive layer to incentivize and solve that problem of the seeders and leechers back in the day, right? So how can you have how can you decentralize your front ends in a way that's secure and has a lot of uptime? Well, you have economic incentives, and that builds on Filecoin. That builds on IPFS. While Filecoin, you don't have to rely on altruism with Filecoin. With economic incentives, you can have awesome uptime and asset permanence on the web. You can ensure uptime. You can trade, swap, sell, buy. This valuable pieces of data. Filecoin allows for people to get into economic agreements with files and data, and it sounds like a good mix for Ethereum, because Ethereum again is the internet of value, and the way that you create value is by essentially having these economic agreements between people. The way I see Ethereum in some ways, it's like It's the internet of value, and it's a trust machine in the sense that people can trust the blockchain because it has these certain properties. Thus, they don't have to trust themselves. And the more people trust each other, the more they collaborate. And the more they collaborate, the more value is created. And Filecoin fits perfectly with that because people want to transfer information and have a guarantee that that information can be accessed. So Truffle and Filecoin, economic incentives leads to assets, or assets leads to economic incentives, and then the need to create contracts, which are economic terms, and code and UI. So it sounds like a great job for a dApp, and Truffle is the way to do it. So again, get from idea to dApp very quickly. A really cool idea would be to create a dApp that uses Filecoin and Ethereum. We're going to give you the boilerplate to do that, but any sort of market for data that you can think of, whether it's NFTs, like an art gallery, we'll see how we're going to set this up right now, or music, or anything that you can think of. It's really kind of interesting. If you want to use certain, let's say, EIPs for, let's say, royalties, that'd be kind of a cool app to create, like some sort of NFT marketplace that always gives the artist a cut of the secondary sales, right? That's yet to be seen, actually, or at least yet to be seen in broad scope. So that'd be kind of cool. Become a legend. Try it out. You can start off with the Filecoin box. So the Filecoin box allows you to easily integrate Filecoin into your dApps to decentralize your front end, back end, or at least decentralize the asset itself. The box includes an example art gallery, and it contains these things, right? It contains Lotus, and it contains the IPFS node, which simulates the storage deal process. The Ethereum node contains that, right, for the contracts, and a front end to view the decentralized assets, which we'll kind of see in a bit. We'll get into what Lotus is. So basically, Lotus is Filecoin's implementation, Protocol Labs implementation of Filecoin, right? There's other implementations out there, but this is the one created by Protocol Labs. Okay, so first things first, we got to check the requirements. So here are the requirements. You need to have Truffle. You need to have Node, specifically between 12.13.0 and 14.14. It's been a while last night trying to figure this out, but it works. NPM version greater than 6.4.1, and Windows, Linux, or Mac OS. Make sure you have the right OS, first of all. We like OpenBSD, shout out to you, but we don't support that. So first, let's go in there and check our Node version. So we do node-v. Well, I'm good, right? And then let's check npm-v. Great, and then let's do truffle-v. All right, let's see what happens. Okay, great, let's check here. And we're good. It doesn't really say, but I have it. Now, let's say that you don't have it. If you don't meet these requirements, then we can use something called Node Version Manager. And Node Version Manager allows you to have different types of node versions on your computer. So let's say you have Node 10, and you don't want to upgrade. You want to have different versions of Node because you have different projects have different dependencies. You can use this Node Version Manager. To set it up, you basically kind of go like this. And I have it already. So, yep, I have it already. But to set it up, let's just see. Here we go. The infamous long scroll. Okay. Right. So it's already installed. We'll try to update it using the Git. We're good. Sweet. Now, let's say we want to have, let's say we, for some reason, want to have version 9 of Node. Okay, great. So now what we do is we do node-v, and now I have version 9.11.2, right? Using Semver, we can kind of calibrate which version you want, but I just did this way, and this is what I got. Okay, cool. So let's say I want to change though. Well, let's actually get to it as I get into it. We'll get into this later. Let's change back to NVM, and then we're gonna do use 14.14.0. Right. Okay, now great. So I have two versions of it, but it's interesting to keep this in mind. Let's actually install Truffle. You would do it like this, but in the interest of time, I already have it installed, so we don't want to necessarily kind of take up time just watching the installation happening. Okay, great. Now we're gonna install the Truffle box. Okay, great. So this is my directory of things that I'm doing, and I will. First of all, I'm gonna make the directory. Filecoin. Sorry. box. Bam, great. I'm gonna seed into the Filecoin box. Great. And now we're gonna Truffle unbox. Truffle unbox Filecoin. Right. And what it does is it works almost like NPM in a sense. And it just gets like specific boilerplate projects for you. So we're unboxing it. And while we're waiting, it's really interesting to note that sometimes when you do a Truffle unbox, you don't get all the peer dependencies. So it took a little bit of wrangling to figure out that you needed to install these peer dependencies on the side, Electron, WebRTC, WebRTC, and I think a Promise client. So it should come through. While we're waiting, it's good to note that if you do want to change your version of Node, you can kind of, error here. Uh-oh. Oh, geez, technical issues. Okay. If you do want to change your version of Node, you can always change it using NVM, right? NVM, when you install it, kind of restart your terminal, but then it should be working. The command should work. And you can always change it by installing the version and then clicking, say, NVM, use that whatever version you want. So it's also really important to know that we're going to skip ahead actually while we're installing. It's really important to note, we'll get to it. It's important to note, like right here, that once we set up this version of Truffle, which we'll kind of set up, because you need a special version of Truffle to kind of use this package to a certain extent, but it will override the version that you have. So what you would do is you would, let's say, get another version of Node, since each dependency in your Node that you install globally is scoped inside of NVM, which is kind of good. So you can have like a bunch of dependencies that are global and version 11, and then they don't really mix in with your version 14. So still installing. Should have probably just had it already there, but you get to see the magic of live coding. Right? This is awesome. That's the one thing. It takes a bit to install, but once you have it, it's great. Another thing to note is specifically while we're waiting, it's interesting to note that inside the truffle.config, there is this top level sort of object now within it. It's going to come out in version 6, but it's in beta version of this. And it has this thing called environments. And you can use that to kind of, if you want to customize this project for something, you can kind of use textile buckets and put your information here with your .env file. And it's kind of pre-configured in a certain way, but you can always fix it the way you want it under the hood. Okay, still, geez Louise. So skipping ahead while this thing is kind of downloading, we're gonna kind of go into the big picture. We're gonna set up Ethereum Ganache local testnet, but you can also set it up on using the Ganache UI in this manner. I would suggest if you have SSH already, to SSH in it, go to the actual site itself, click on SSH, and then grab that link and kind of put it to the command line, because I was having issues here when I was working with this. It should work though, but for this purpose, we're gonna kind of just use it on Ganache CLI. It should be straightforward. The idea is that you want to have the Ganache CLI for Ethereum, the Ganache CLI for Filecoin, and then you're gonna have to run this thing called the inspector, the Filecoin network inspector. In some ways, it's like Etherscan to a certain extent, but also has this extension where it allows you to sort of easily add files to connect to the Filecoin network. This Filecoin network is going to be local, right? In the back end, it's really interacting with Lotus.js. Again, Lotus is the Golang implementation of Filecoin, but Lotus.js is written in JavaScript. So it has these things. It has like the miner exploration, market exploration, deals page, and it allows you to easily upload files in there. Okay, great. Finally, geez. All right. Okay, so we covered a lot. We were set up Truffle. Okay, great. Now we have to set up our, okay, we unboxed it, npm install. Great. Feels like a cooking show, except that there's no cuts in between when things are cooking. The thing about the reason Yarn is really popular is because it's faster to actually load things. If you can use Yarn, I would say use Yarn. If you can't, then well, you know, sorry. Okay. So we're gonna install these dependencies because for some reason they weren't included. It's like a little debugging to figure that out, but it's always good to kind of read these things up here. Normally we're trained to kind of ignore these things, but it's always useful to see like required peer of yada yada yada. Okay, so this would be pretty quick, or not. Jeez Louise, should have set it up already. Okay, well, while it's installing, oh, there you go. Excellent. Spectacular. Okay, great. So we've installed it. We've talked about this. So now let's actually get that special version of Truffle, which gives us kind of that top level domain. And we're going to go here and install this. It should be quicker, honestly. But it's really important to note that in 6 this is going to happen, but you need this special version to actually work, make this thing work. Can't really skip over this file. The idea for this is that Truffle Preserve allows you to, it's a command that allows you to specify what files you want to preserve on the command line, and you can preserve it, aka save it on IPFS or Filecoin. So it's an easy way within the command line to send things to the network. Again, just make sure that there'll be a different version of your Truffle. So when you're starting off, just start off with a different version of Node. So when you do install it globally, it doesn't affect your other projects. Okay. While we're doing this, we can edit this in post. Okay, great. So yeah, the Filecoin Network Explorer is really important. Think of it like your Etherscan. And the way you would do is you would go to this repo. Just kind of start that process now once installing. All right. Okay, great. So we're gonna SSH it up. Okay, great. So let's get. You want to set that up in a different folder. All right. Great. If you have HTTPS, go this way. I suggest SSH. I was having issues with it. And then you're gonna kind of CD into Filecoin Network Explorer Inspector. And then you're gonna specifically check out this, right? This specific branch. Now you basically just run it. npm install, should be quick. Those last words. And then from there, you're going to start it. And it's almost similar to like the Etherscan or BSC scan or something like that for your local Ganache setup. So while we're setting that up, we're going to start to look at setting up your Ganache CLI, right? It's pretty cool. So we're going to okay, great. To do so, we're gonna basically npx Ganache. And what this does is it basically does the same thing as Ganache, right? It creates these Filecoin sort of accounts. These private keys are just deterministic, so don't ever use them. Available accounts, private keys. It's listening to Lotus on RPC. Note this is a local, right? This is not connected to the actual network. Okay, great. While that's happening, sorry, it's all over the place. It's live coding. Let's start this thing. npm run start. Okay. So should start localhost 3000. Make sure you don't have the port being used by something else. Now go into the config file and change it, or stop the other thing you're doing. It should come up at some point. Great. So you can get into deals, markets, miners. You see the miner details here, right? Because I have this thing set up right here. Great. The next thing you want to do is, so we're going to kind of, if you want, you can use the Ganache UI, but just to keep things simple, we're going to use the CLI also. We understand this. We set this up. We set this up. Now, what are deals? All right. So you see these thing called deals right here. this is interesting. So we have like something like the Chain Explorer to see the history of things. We see the miners, we see markets, and we can upload things on here, which you'll see later. But first, let's understand what a deal is. What's the deal with deals? All right. So a deal is very simple. A deal, just like in regular life, is when two participants in the Filecoin network enter into a deal with one party contracts the services to the other, right? And there's two types of deals: storage deals, where someone agrees to hold data for a specific amount of time, and retrieval deals, when someone basically agrees to transmit that data, that specific data, to another person. You can click here to figure out how they work under the hood, but that's kind of the scope out of this talk. Creating a storage deal. So in order to do so, you have to make sure these things are kind of running. Now, notice that it's good to have this little reminder because we want to have Ethereum on Ganache, right, as well. So let's go in there and let's figure out where it is. There you go. Okay, great. So make sure you're in the same folder, and you do simply npx Ganache Ethereum. That's what I can spell. It's okay. Bam. So the same thing. Notice now you have Filecoin Ganache, and now you have Ethereum Ganache. It's interesting to note though the difference. Obviously, two different networks, but just be aware that when you deploy something on the Filecoin Ganache, it's instantaneous, right? When you do it on the regular network, it's not going to be as fast if you have previous experience. All right, great. So, all right, creating a storage deal by the Filecoin UI. The simplest way would be to, like, let's say, go here, try adding a file. Let's try adding a file. Ooh, come on. Give me. Excellent. Okay, great. Let's choose a file. Let's always be closing. Oh yeah, it's a great movie. Okay, great. So we chose a file. This is my wallet address. So let's oh, it's loading. Okay, great. Upload to the network. Let's try it again. A little error. Live coding will not be live if there wasn't an error. So always be closing. It's actually, let's go with something like a JPEG. Okay, great. Okay, great. Sending deal. Deal happened. Oh my God, I created a deal. CIDs, content identifiers. That's really important, which we'll get into, right? So we kind of got into a deal, you know, right? The markets show the history of our deals. Miner shows who's mining, right? The chain, you can kind of see a Chain Explorer. Maybe we'll see how that works later, but you see these deals. PCAD is not supporting Ganache. We'll figure this out. For the most part, though, let's keep it going. Let's keep it moving. Just like I mentioned before, a deal must be secured with the miner before the data is stored. So you have to, like, in the mainnet, you have to like make a deal with the miner and then store it. Here it kind of happens automatically. Asterisk. Let's move on to the next thing, because then we can start looking deep into the hood. There's another way to do it. We did it kind of the easy way. We can use Ganache. Well, no, we use Truffle Preserve, right? So let's kind of go it that way. Let's create a new. Let's oh geez. Let's go this way. We'll try it this way. See what happens. Excellent. Okay. Try it again. Live coding. Bane of my existence. Should have done a video. Okay. Let's see. While this is loading, there's the other way you can kind of create a deal. You can go to GIF for a while. Say life is too easy for you and you are a coding master. You can use curl. And you need to update the wallet address and the CID. But for this purposes, we kept it simple really, and did it through the UI. Okay, great. So let's see if it works now. So plug up in our folder. Okay. Gee, let's see. We'll figure that issue out later. Okay, great. So inside the contract, we've already had, inside this Truffle box, we already have this NFTs, right? It's the Mona Lisa, right? We have the metadata. It's really important to know what CIDs are. Photo School has a lot of good information. I'm really happy as a DevRel person to see the work they're doing because they have a lot of good educational material. So if you haven't gone and understand that, go into Proto School. Content addressing is the core to a lot of what IPFS does in Filecoin. So we have basically these content addresses and it corresponds to these things inside there. If you want to kind of deploy an NFT, you would do certain things. Let's see. So let's move that there. Let's deploy it. So let's actually in here. Let's do Truffle console. Oh, okay, cool. Const. Okay. Let's see. It's working before. Nope. Gallery not defined. Okay. We have to run the okay. Oh, live code. Start the dApp inside actually. Okay. Start the UI, maybe that helps. Because in theory, we're supposed to like, we have this metadata, we go into Truffle, we basically mint this thing here. But let's make sure that we followed all the steps, right? We have this. Okay. See what happens. To give you a preview, if it doesn't work for me, it'll work for you. No guarantees. Some helpful resources. You can check out the README right here. Right. If it doesn't work, you can actually look at the file architecture, see how it looks. You can reach out to me at the Discord, Crypto Hamilton Never DMs, MetaMask, sorry Fishers, Tom Hay. I'm also on the Filecoin Slack. Obviously, never short your seed phrase. Happy building, but let's see how this thing works. Okay, great. npm run. Start. Come on. Yeah, I would. Start. Excellent. So it started. It's on here. It was as always when you're dealing with new packages and things in experimental phase, it is kind of painful, but at least now you know kind of the different pieces, right? You know the pieces related to sort of setting up the Explorer, which is your Ether scan, setting up your Ganache for Filecoin, setting up your Ganache for Ethereum, and then running kind of the UI, which then you can edit. The last thing you would want to do basically is actually figure out how to deploy your own NFT. For another session, we can get into like exploring the contracts. But for now, I think it's been enough pain. So let's, as always, programming is good. Like Leonardo da Vinci said, or like Paulo Picasso said, you must always start with something. Afterwards, you can remove all traces of reality. And Da Vinci said, learning never tires the brain. So keep on, even if you run into the bugs, and continue to build because getting over those initial hurdles are the things that lead to great things happening. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Tom and Anthony. I don't see any questions right now, but I posted the link of the Browsers 3000 Discord and the chat in case anyone would like to get in touch with you later. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. If you guys have any questions, reach out to us on the Discord. Learning more about IPFS and Filecoin. If you have questions, you can ask, obviously, Dietrich, and reach out to me. I love to talk shop. If I don't know it, we'll try to figure out how to, we'll figure it out together. So yes, I will send the presentation link with the steps as well. Hopefully we can pass it on to PL and they can pass it on to you. Reach out to me. We'll try to figure this out together.
Thanks for having us. And yeah, we're at Crypto Hamilton. Doesn't, what is it? At Crypto Hamilton doesn't
ask DM MetaMask. I wanted to say doesn't ask for coin or anything, but you know.
I'm at Tom Hay Consensus. So yeah, reach out to us. We're available. You know, and we'll see you in the metaverse.